How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Samach Daled, Daf 64 of Masechta Nazir. Friends, this is the third to last Daf of Masechta Nazir. Super duper technical. Alright, we're going to start Daf Samach Gimel with Beis all the way at the bottom. Four lines from the bottom. Ketzad Yard. Okay, we talked about the guy guy goes into the cave, there's like a corpse floating. Okay, so we said, so now it says the Gemara, Tsofa Einu Metamelin in Sheretz. When it comes to a siren. When it comes to a floating sheretz, all right, so it's not metama. Okay, the Tanya, I assume that means like, and like you're not sure if you touched it. So the Tanya is within the price of suffik tuma tsafa. If you have a suffik tuma that's floating, bein bekalim, bein bekarka tahora. So whether it's floating in vessels, in like water that's in vessels, or whether it's floating, I guess, in water that's on the ground, tahora. Reb Shimon Omer bekalim tmei bekarka tahora. That in vessels it's impure, but on the ground it's pure. My time in the Tanakama. How come the Tanakama says either way it is pure? Omer Reb Yitzchak bar Avudimi says Reb Yitzchak bar Avudimi ksiv b'chol hasheretz ashoretz, that any sheretz that is sheretzing, kol makom shehu sheretz, wherever it's sheretzing, who cares? Uchsiv ala aretz, but then it says specifically on the land. Okay, tzad, what's the deal? Is it wherever it is? Is it on the land? So vade mago tame. So we say, well, if you for sure touch a sheretz, then it's tame. Safik mago tor, but safik mago, if it's on water, apparently, then it's tahor. All right, fine. All right. Reb Shimon, my timer. How come Reb Shimon makes a differentiation between if it's water or on the ground? So, Omer Ula Ksiv Achmayan, that it says about a stream, Ksiv Yitman, it says Tame. Okay, it's at Sofa Bekalim Tame Bekarko Torah. If it's floating in vessels, it's Tame, but on the ground, it's Tahor. Tanar Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Kol Hani Tolin Vanigrorin, anything that's carried or schlepped, Sveikon Tame. If you have a suffix, you have a question about if something, was schlepped or carried or something, then if you're not sure about it and it was Tame and it came in contact in a way, that would be Metame, so it's Tame. Because we treat it as if they're stationary. Vanizrakan Sveikon Tahor, but something that is thrown, so if you're not sure about it, then it's Tahor. Chutz min kazayis min hametz, the exception being a kazayis from a corpse, v'amayil al pnei tuma, or if you're making oil over tuma, so like if you throw something over a corpse or something. V'chodavish mitami milamala kilamata lisuy zav zav, or anything mitami milamala kilamata, like a zav and a zav, right? Zav, zava, nida, mitzora, I believe, right? These are things, people that are mitame lamata mishka v'tarto kelyon. It means that basically if like a zav or a zava sits on like a bunch of beds, even if they're stacked on top of each other, they're all become, I believe, in avatuma like him. Okay, fine. And any kind of suffix regarding to that would be tame. So what if you have a corpse in a vessel and the vessel is floating on water? Do we say based on the vessel and the vessel is floating on the water, or do we go based on the corpse, and the corpse is obviously tame? And if you want to see that we go based on the vessel, and what that means is that we say that the and that it is tahor. Oh, I'm sorry. There's a hidden word here. Sorry, there's an invisible word that you have to put in. So imtim slomer lav basar kliyas linon. If you say that we don't go, it's tricky. It's an invisible word. It's not there, but you have to add it anyways. That we don't go based on the vessel, that it's floating, but rather we go based on the corpse and it's tame. So mesa gabi sheretz mahu. What if you have a? By the way, we'll do a shtickle jeopardy over here. The answer is teiku chveis nicht. So now, if you have a mace on top of a sheretz and the sheretz is floating, mahu kevin the high tumas erev, by tumas shiva, command the machta tuma b'chli damyu. Do we say that, well, since these are different types of tumas, right? Sheretz is tumas erev, you only tummy till the evening, whereas a mace is tummy for 7 days, so therefore we treat the tumas mace as if it was like in a vessel and it's tummy. Or dilma tumas smichti, or maybe we just view it as one clump of tuma and it's floating and it would be tahor. And if you say that it's tame, v'tame vade, and it's tummy. So sheretz al gabi nevela v'nevela tzafa. Ma, what if you have a sheretz on top of a corpse, right? Both of those are tummy tumas erev, right? A sheretz and a nevela, if you touch them, then you come tummy to the evening. So if you have a sheretz on top of nevela, and the nevela is floating in water, so do we say kevon the tavayu tumas erevin tumas smichtahi? Do we say, well, since they both have the same status of tumah, right? They're both tumah, 1 day tumas that last until the evening. So then we treat it, right? It's just one clump of tumah. And it's and you'll be and it's floating, and therefore it's tahor. Odilma hai kazayis vai kadosha hai kadosha. Or do we say that since a nevela is metami bekazayis and a sheretz is metami bekadosha, therefore they're considered separate, and the and therefore the sheretz would be tameh. Sheretz agabe sheretz ma. What if you have a sheretz on top of a sheretz? Hani vadai chad shiur ninu. Well, obviously both the sheretzes have the same level of tumah, which is tumah until the evening. So therefore we can consider it as one clump of floating tumah, and it should be safek is tahor. Or do we say, yeah, but since they are separate entities, we have two separate sheretzes, therefore we treat them separately, and the top one would be metame. And if you're going to say, yeah, well, since they are two separate individual sheretzes, therefore, the top one would be like it's resting in a vessel in tummy. Sheretz agabi nevela shini mochama. What if you have a sheretz on top of a nevela, a corpse of an animal, a dead animal that was not slaughtered, and the corpse is like decomposed, and it's like it became like liquefied. So came to nimocha avile mashke. So do we say, well, since the nevela kind of liquefied, and so we can treat it like the sheretz is floating? Or do we say no? We treat the nevela like a solid block, and therefore it's like it's resting, and it's like the sheretz is resting on the nevela, and it would be metame. And if you say that the liquefied nevela is considered ochla, it's considered solid, and therefore the sheretz is metame. Sheretz agabi shichva zerama. What if the sheretz is on top of semen? V'im timtzalomar. If you say, well, since the semen has been separated from the body, it's considered like a solid, and therefore the sheretz would be metame. Okay, sheretz al gabi mechatos tofan al gabi amayma. What if the sheretz was on top of some water with the ashes of the paraduma mixed in, and the sheretz was kind of floating on that, which was floating on top of the water? The Gemara says, ich weiß nicht. Let's go weiter. Amar v'amnuna nazir v'oseh pesach sheholchu ba'kever atahom b'shvi sheloin tahor. Oh, so says Rav Amnuna now in Samach Daled Amud Beis. Says Rav Amnuna that if you have a nazir or somebody going to offer the korban pesach, and it's there was tameh, and it's their 7th day, right? The day that they can become tahor. So you have a nazir who is a nazir tameh. You have a fellow doing his korban pesach, and he was also on the 7th day of Tumah, and then on their 7th day of Tumas Hameis, when they're going to become tahor, they then come in contact with a hidden kever. So tahor, so they are tehorim. Tumas atahom lemister, because Tumas atahom is not going to make him have to start over again. Okay. This hidden grave is not enough to make them have to start over again. But Rav asks the kasha. 1 second, our Mishnah says Yard litoyer mitumas hameis, that if a fellow, right? We talked in the Mishnah about if you have a fellow who's a nazir and becomes tummy with tumas hatahom. So we say that if it was after the haircut, so then it's okay. But we said in the Mishnah that if it's yardly toy mitumas hameis, but if he was already tameh with tumas hameis and he was going to the mikveh in order to become right as part of the purification process from tumas hameis, well, in that case, tameh he remains tameh shechezkas tameh, because once he already had the chazak of being tameh, he remains tameh. V'chezkas Torah. But if he was tahor, if he was not a nazir tameh, if he was tahor, and he came in contact with the tumas hatahom, a hidden a kever atom, right, a hidden grave, corpse, so then it would be tahor. So over here, in this case where you have a Nazir Tameh, or a fellow who's Tameh right now on their 7th day, so then Mimela, they're in a chazaka of being Tameh, so they should be Tameh. Why is Rav Hamnuna saying that Shahalchu b'kever atom b'shvi shelen tahorim? Why are they tahorim? They should be Tameh. So Amarle, so if Hamnuna responds to Rav, he says, you know what, you're taka right. Modina lach b'nazir shemuchusur tiglachas. I agree with you that if you have a Nazir who has not yet had his haircut yet, and it's his 7th day of Tumah, when he can now become tahor, right, from Tumas Hameis, and he comes in contact with a kever atahom, so you would have to start over. It would be soser. And says Rava to Rav Hamnuna, look, and I admit to you, when it comes to a fellow bringing a korban pesach, that he would remain tahor because he's not, there's nothing left to do, right? When it comes to the Nazir, we're saying it's pre haircut, so he's not yet done, right? A Nazir tamei needs to then get a haircut, so he's not yet done with his, there's still more stuff to do, so he remains, so he's tamei when it comes to tumas atom. But it says Rava to Rav Hamnuna that I, Rava, admit that when it comes to an Oseh Pesach on his 7th day, that he's already gone to the mikveh, and then he comes in contact with the tumas atom, he would be tahor because there's nothing left that he has to do as part of his purification process. What do you mean there's nothing left? He has to wait until the sun sets. The sun hasn't yet set. So there's that. There's the fact that the sun needs to still set. To which Rav responds to Abaye, says, yeah, but the sun, he doesn't have to do anything about that. The sun's going to set on its own. He just needs to wait. There's nothing he needs to do. There's nothing lacking for him to do in order to become pure. He has to wait till sunset? Okay, so wait till sunset. The sun will set, don't worry. But there's nothing that he's lacking to do. And even Abaye retracted and accepted that it's true. The sun having not yet set, oh my gosh, too many double negatives. It said the sun not setting is not a problem. That didn't solve the double negative problem. Even Abaye retracted and says, don't worry about the sun not setting. That's also double. How can I say this in a positive way? I don't know. Or how about this? It's considered like he's done even if the sun has not yet set. Because the fact that the sun has not yet set is not, a problem. Oh man, I can't think a little straight. I'm still on my diet, my apple and salad and soup diet. So I'm shtickle hungry. All right, let's go weiter. So even Abaye retracted and accepted that you could be considered done with all your stuff, of all your purification stuff. Also, this stuff is extremely technical, let's be honest. You could be done with all your purification stuff even prior to the sun setting. Tanya, an inhibitor maybe is the word I was thinking of. The sun having not yet set is not inhibitor. Dude, I'm not a double negatives guy. The Tanya, as we learn in the Brisa, Yom melos tavi toch melos lo tavi. Okay, what's this talking about? Who can tell me what this is talking about? He's talking about when a woman gives birth, so if she gives birth to a yingel, a boy, so then for 7 days she's tameim. For the following 33 days, she, any dam that she sees is tahor, and then after that she brings korbanos. Now, if it's a maidel, if it's a girl, so then for 14 days she's tameim. For 66 days she's tahor, and after 80 days, right, 14 plus 66, after 80 days she brings korbanos. Now, this is talking about a woman who gave birth, and then within the 80 days she miscarried. And the question is, the korban that she would have to bring after the miscarriage, so can the korban that she brings after the 80 days count for the korban from the miscarriage as well? That if the fetus was at least 40 days developing, so then she would have to bring korbanos for the fetus as well. So we're saying that Yom Melos Tavi. So if on the 80th day she she miscarries. Sorry, day 81. If on day 81 she miscarried, which is the day that she brings her korbanos. So if on day 81 she has a miscarriage, so then she has to bring another korban, right? So again, so if right, so this woman gave birth to a girl, and then there was 14 days of Tumah, 66 days of Tyra, and then the 80 days are up. Now it's day 81, the day that she brings her korbanos, and she had a miscarriage that day. So Yom Melos Tavi. So if on day 81 she has a miscarriage, so then she needs to bring separate korbanos, whereas Toch Melos Lo Tavi. If it's prior to day 81, she miscarries, she does not need to bring a separate korban. The korban that she's going to bring on day 81 can work for can cover the miscarriage as well. So now the Gemara says, Yachol lo tavi aleida shelifnei milo. So is it possible that she wouldn't bring a separate korban for a miscarriage that was before day 81? Aval tavi aleida shelachar milos, but she would bring a separate korban for a miscarriage after day 81. Wow. So this is talking about a case where, so you have a woman who gives birth to a girl. Now she's going to bring korbanos for that birth on day 81. Now within the 80 days, she miscarried a fetus that was at least 40 days old, and therefore she needs to bring a korban. Therefore she's going to have to bring a korban for that miscarriage. So we said, though, that since it was within the 80 days, so then the korban that she brings on day 81 works for both the baby as well as the miscarriage. But now there's another thing. So what if towards the end of the 80 days she miscarries, and then she waits another 80 days for that miscarriage, and within that 80 days, but after the end of the first 80 days, but within 80 days from the miscarriage, right, so after the 80 days from the birth, but within the 80 days from the miscarriage, she then has another miscarriage. So the question is, does she have to bring separate korbanos for the second miscarriage? Because even though it was, right, because on the one hand it was after the initial 80 days, but it was before she actually offered any korbanos, because, after she has the miscarriage within the 80 days, she then has to wait another 80 days before she can bring any of the korbanos until she's tahora from that, and she can bring any of the korbanos. So, on the one hand, the second miscarriage was after the initial 80 days. On the other hand, she hasn't actually brought any korbanos yet. So maybe when she ultimately brings the korbanos, it can work for all of them, right? So again, is it possible that she would not bring a separate korban for a miscarriage that happened before the initial day 81? But maybe if she had a second miscarriage, and that was after day 81, but within 80 days of the first miscarriage, so then maybe she would have to bring a separate korban. Skip the next two words. That it says, on the day of her Tyra, b'yom melos tavi, toch melos lo tavi, that only on the day of melos would she have to bring a separate korban, but not within that. Meaning, since she hasn't yet offered her korbanos, so then she does not have to bring a separate korban. Who the heck is at the door? Why would somebody knock on the door if I'm recording Babylon Talmud? Well, guess what? I'm not going to pick up. I don't answer doors. So yeah, I don't really do the whole door answering thing, but they're probably going to keep on knocking, but alright. I'll answer the door maybe a little bit later. Alright. So yeah, leave me alone. I'm recording Babylon Talmud over here. I'll get to you. I'm almost done. I'll get to you in like 10 minutes. Alright. So, oh, so Amr of Kahana, Shani Achad Mechasra Korban. So it says of Kahana that in this case, the reason why she doesn't have to bring a separate korban for the miscarriage is because she hasn't yet brought any korbanos yet. But when it comes to, but if she would, initially, if on day 81, so now going back to the initial case, the fellow at the door distracted me a shtickle. Thank you, fellow at the door. You may as well be a sunflower guy. Anyways, Okay, so bring it back together. So we had two cases, right? One case was, basically a regular case. She had a baby, and then within the 80 days. So we said if on day 81 she has a miscarriage, so then she would have to bring a separate korban. But if before then she had a miscarriage, so then the korban that she brings on day 81 can cover both of them. Now we had a situation where there was within the 80 days she had a miscarriage, and then she had another miscarriage. We said as long as she hasn't yet brought any korbanos, so then the korban that she brings at then can count for everything. So we say that it's because she hasn't yet brought any korbanos yet. But if it's on day 81, so then she would, however, right, on the day that if she had the initial miscarriage on day 81, so then the korbanos would not, essentially you'd have to bring a separate korban. So now, but Abaye asks, so the Gemara asks, but still, why when she miscarries on day 81, should she have to bring a separate korbanos? There wasn't Hayav Shemesh yet of day 81. Now it's unclear exactly what sunset on day 81 has to do with anything. What sunset is she waiting for? But anyways, Abaye answers that the sun setting is not considered like, an activity that needs to happen. The sun sets on its own, and therefore that wouldn't be considered something separate. And therefore, if on day 81 she miscarriages, that's already considered like after the melos, and she'd have to bring separate korbanos. All right, that was Daf Samach Daled of Masechta Nazir. Hope you enjoyed. Peace out.